Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, March 2nd, 2022, Wednesday, 3:36 a.m. नमस्कार, मैं सूरज सिंह सिविल इंजीनियर भारत इंडिया से बोल रहा हूँ. आज दिनांक मार्च 2 2022 बुधवार 3:37. Back to you on talk of quality project works, coordination engineering, communication, concrete, civil field engineering, reliable engineers, work contracts, SHE, designs, construction, methods, and coordination and quality. This is my email address. You have seen daily, and again you see to remind you, SURAJ is my name. That is Suraj, SURAJ underscore ENGINEER, engineer at yahoo.co.uk. I am registered Fellow of Institution of Engineers, which means Chartered Engineer India, and also I have qualified International Professional Engineer India certification. This is my third certification currently, and just because I belong to field of civil engineering, and that's why I'm near to civil people, and it is International Professional Engineer India certification valid up to September 30th 2025, and this is Chartered Engineer India certification based on FIE approval, and this is quality file as well as this is a coordination file. I close now C file. Just for information, I showed to you this. I close FI file as well, and I'll show you a cover also, that is cover of book which I wrote first time in, I started, it published in 96 first time, and it was based on my experience. You can say experience of Iraq, experience of Libya, experience of Qatar. It was written in those days when there was no computer, there was just typing. I didn't know anything about computer in those days. I started writing this book in 90, I think, 1990 or 1989 somewhere, I exactly don't remember. And this is just a drawing piece. I put one of those many drawing pieces. And you can say at that time I was too young, in 1990. I was about 35 maybe, I think. Yes, whatever it is. Then it was published in 96, and after it's being published, I left to again back to Doha. I'm sure that this was based on exactly, you can say, practical experience, no theory involved, how engineer should work on site, what relation engineer has got to other people, how it should be done. It's a complete practical work, coordination work. You can say how to deal with those who include or who are involved on activities, site activities, coordination activities, written communication or spoken communication activities. It is that kind of, it's completely hand-drawn sketch, and there are so many sketches included in that book. I know this book has not gone on a successful path because it's not textbook, it's not for students. Students like it, maybe in African countries, in other countries, I see people are interested in this, but in our country, people don't want to read, and now because it's not computerized, except in tax. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, I try to record my experience on papers in book form. It took a lot of time for this book to be published. You may say it started in 92, given to publisher continuing improvement on that. In 96 was published. It is more than 3 years. More than 3 years it took for publication because there were so many sketches included in this book. It's a sketch-oriented book, you can say sketch-dominated book. Sketches regarding what projects I did, indicative sketches or diagrams or figures or drawings of those projects was detailed on that, and I included many activities of projects in construction engineering, a procedure also and responsibilities which is called to the job descriptions. I wrote job descriptions of what one person should do, what such designation should do, like that. so that people should know, my colleagues in profession should know. My contemplation was that. But who studies after qualifying? That is a question mark. And I noticed that people were not interested in books. Publisher used to report to me, and I asked him. He says, "No, you promote it. I don't know how to promote that book." Well, I was a failure, you can say, in this regard. For books, it was building or related because by that time I had building experience only in construction. It was 96 publication, and after that a publisher did not take any interest in this book. Of course, it was moving like ant, or like it's a very crocodile. You can very lowest speed, and still I think it's almost success. I don't mind that, because good work is never accepted to people. If you write a story or novel that people accept, well, engineers are not interested in reading something practical. They are only interested in qualifying examinations for purpose of getting degrees or diplomas, and that is bad thing. It's a kind of coordination I did on this, and have published many posts based on this book. And otherwise, it was very brief experience, but how work is done on site in those days, I was done on site. What should be done, what should not be done, based on my brief experience, it was written. I'm just trying to show to you, I'm not promoting it, however, but I'm just trying to show you status of continuing education people have been missing. And that's all part of this. And you can say, if I show you this certificate, of example, this is an international professional engineer, it's not easy to get it. There's a procedures, international process set on this. You cannot simply say that this is certification of competence. It's not competency alone. It's a certification of being a current person. Means you have updated yourself. One has updated of the field of engineering, and otherwise it's not branch of engineering itself. It indicates, of course, written that in the field of civil engineering, but civil engineering covers many other aspects in life, many other interdisciplinary, also overlapping engineering. We can call it civil electrical, civil mechanical, civil otherwise, civil society, like that. And it indicates a person has been ongoing, and this person can be relied upon, because this person is a practical one, a practicing one. And then I can say, these my writings on this, based on this, I close this book cover. Now I'll give many examples out of this. So this quality, I come back to this issue of quality, and which is life itself. I can say quality and coordination engineering is very important, and quality is here. You can say, I say Bharat India speaks about this, because we have lacked in quality at all. Now it is what's happening. All companies or organizations, whether they belong to private sector, the government sector, or whatever sector, quality doesn't mean anything for anybody, and that's unfortunate. I'm making this statement based on facts in life. Facts in our life. I'm making the statement. It's not some bureaucratic or technical. It's a fact of life, and facts can't be denied. Facts can't be denied. If you deny facts, you deny yourself. And that's really unfortunate. I have to state this in this year. I've been experiencing a bad quality in our country everywhere. I can say it may not be same bad in other countries, but our country is leader in bad quality. But our country is also leader in price rises, and that's not technical. That's not political statement. It's a factual statement. As much as private sector is being promoted by our people, that level of quality is slumping, and private people have started thinking, private sector people or corporate sector, they are leaders of this world. Every price is being risen, every price being raised, and there's no government control on that, which is not in good interest of our society, because we are not that level of like USA has, where people have trust. Here everybody wants to loot, and that's unfortunate. For example, direct increase of say 30 to 40%. For example, I say there's no reason one should raise prices in this time, but they increase. You can say AMC services prices. You can say direct. What they do, they reduce prices on original sale, but on AMC prices are increased, and that's where they make balances. AMC has become a route of making money, and direct sales has been reduced by say 10% discount, and they try to promote, and that has been a route to cheat people, cheat consumer. and quality has gone down, services have gone down, everything has gone down. Nobody cares. In name of lockdown, people raise prices and they don't do that level of service which was done before. And I say quality works everywhere. It works in all acts. It may be production, it may be manufacturing, it may be post-manufacturing, it may be post-sale, it may be construction, it may be whatever. Whatever you say, or even in other parts of our sectors, for example, it may be accountancy, it may be law, it may be whatever else. Medical even, quality drops there as well. If you see medical, our claims, this not how medical insurance is that prices to have gone up. So what I'm saying, we are only interested in making money, in making profit, at cost of quality, at cost of no problem. Money is more important than whatever else. If that is the case, how do you expect that we are going to lead others? We are not going to lead others, but we are going to cheat ourselves, and our public is being cheated, unfortunately. So what I say, Bharat India speaks about. We are Bharat, we are India, and we have to speak about. And we have to speak about what? We have to speak about quality and coordination. I consider quality and coordination is a combined profession. Within a profession, it is expertise, it is specialty, and it is indispensable. We cannot leave it behind and say, I am moving ahead of this. I cannot compete, I cannot supersede quality, I cannot bypass quality and coordination. If I bypass quality and coordination, I bypass myself, I bypass character, I bypass integrity, I bypass my worship. I consider work is worship. That everybody knows. It's nothing very specific. Work is worship, because work is done by body as well as by soul. And if you do something by body and by soul in name of God, it's worship, because word belongs to God, word is owned by God. And if I do some developing or some positive work that helps or that upgrades this world in whatever percentages, it's called worship of God. Worship of God doesn't mean any other. I cannot say that. I always think work is worship, because there's only small difference. Worship or worship is same. So I must give quality, I must coordinate everywhere, I must understand what is happening around, what has been happening around. And if I cannot include, I cannot support quality, I cannot support anything, I then think and consider that I play with materials provided by God or by nature. And quality, nature has produced or included in whatever, I abuse that. Quality and coordination are therefore very significant terms. And because I say get up quality, and I ask myself, because I sleep, I don't worry about quality, I don't worry about coordination, and unfortunately, coordination has been withdrawn, practically, virtually, like quality has been virtually withdrawn. Just printing or fonting on your product doesn't mean it's quality. Looking at package of some product, I cannot say it is quality. Package can be very attractive. Same way, a building can be very attractive. But does that building have any quality input? You cannot say by beauty of color, of paint, or by whatever attraction. You cannot say the floor structure is good, the flooring is very shining, this is good stone or tiles. You cannot say that. It's just superficial beauty. It cannot say that this is durable. If structure is not durable, if structure is not qualitative, if structure cannot have long life, which it must have, then all the finishes applied on that go waste. Same way, if you don't take care of structures and quality everywhere, we go waste. It's question of where do we work, how do we work, what system do we follow, how we constitute this system, how we give structure to this system, what structure of this system. Ultimately, we do system, we do structures, we do everywhere. And that's why we are responsible who does it. So quality and coordination are related to structures, are related to other activities. The structures are very important, just like structures in mathematics, structures in language, structures in houses, structures in society. Wherever we have, if there is no agreement with neighbors, we cannot live safely. We cannot live with good free mind. Same way, if we don't observe quality, we cannot do anything. Quantity is always important, nobody denies that fact. But if quantity has no quality input or factor in that, we cannot say this is acceptable. This is rejectable, you should say. If we don't have quantity and quality together, that product cannot be accepted. But if there is no option, no alternative, that case is different. Then under forced situation, forced circumstances, one buys that, not with happiness, but with, you can say, enforced, you can say, forced circumstances. And that's indirect kind of loot, I can say, indirect kind of loot. And people are being looted and nobody cares. Majority of materials, majority of matters don't have quality. Majority of procedures don't have quality. There is no control at all. There is no ministry. There is no official in this country who has responsibility of this system. Everybody does its way. People have no competency in this regard. And they least bother. They say, okay, everywhere it's like this, what can I do? So what I say, we have to think different way. I know it's not easy, but we have a lot of people here who have qualifications, who have competencies, who are engineers, who are professionals, and they are bound to answer this question. I directly hold engineers responsible to this issue of quality. Engineers cannot run away from this issue. They have no right to run away if they work in field. It's their responsibility to have quality done, achieved. But why it's not happening where there are engineers available from every branch of engineering, from civil to mechanical to electrical to aeronautics to IT to everywhere, you can say. We have plenty of engineers in this country. And if then I say quality is not coming in, this means something is wrong somewhere. And what is that wrong somewhere? And that is carelessness, that's ignorance, that is condoning, overlooking, and that's why I can say avoiding responsibility. If I live only for thinking I have to get monthly salary, if that's my ambition, well, I have no answer to that. I say quality be my friend, and quality cannot be my friend if I am not its friend. Quality cannot come on its own, it's not automatic, it's not self-propelling. You have to pull it, have to bring it. That's why I say quality. I am quality, it's my job. You have to come to me, and it comes to me if I perform, I do my job. If I don't remain sleeping, I say stop sleeping. What does it mean? Actually, I call myself stop sleeping. I call others stop sleeping. And I think, and I am sure, if every professional starts thinking stop sleeping itself, I have to stop. Of course, I have to do my job. When I am not sleeping, I am awakened, I would think of job. Otherwise, I'll feel bad, I'll feel sick, I would have stress without nothing, without having anything. When you don't do anything, you sleep. Certainly, access of everything is bad, usually call it. Access of sleeping is also bad. So I say, I have to come up. I have to be my own friend. And my own friend is quality, I say, but quality lies within me. I have to extract it from my store because it stands still there. It's not working stagnant. Within me it's stagnant. I know what's quality, how to do it. I know how to carry. But I don't. I have to ask myself, that I am quality, it lies in my soul, it lies in my mind because I have gone through education, I know how to do it. My education might have not taught me quality, how to teach you, but it tells me that you know it, you can do it. So I am my own friend, quality is my friend, I have to befriend it further, and I cannot work in my job or profession without you. I mean to say quality and coordination, but quality I have to do, coordination I have to do, and that's why I say my soul and my body must be in line of agreement that it's my fault. It's my fault. It's not a crime yet because despite knowing I'm not doing quality, if I continue, then I can say it's a crime. I cannot work in my profession without quality and without coordination, and that's what I think is right. And I have to be friends. We are friends together for all others, I can say, means we are friends together. So I ask quality, you cannot leave me, but quality never left me. You never, it's my fault. I never say quality, you have left me. I say I have left quality. Rather, I should say that. I have left quality. Right? It's not English language I'm teaching, it's something psychological. Why quality doesn't exist, one answer should come. But I say, you are my destiny. Yes, you are. And you think achieving destiny is so easy? Oh no, it cannot be so easy. If you have to achieve destiny, you have to move further and further and further with higher level of concentration, and then further higher level of concentration, and then entering a point which you can call focus of your life or first destiny, and that's where quality, that's a process itself must have quality, must have regularity, punctuality, continuity, and then you can reach somewhere at destiny point. And for nation itself, it applies because everybody has to think that way. I'm not talking completely in principle, it's the approach of engineering, because those who are engineers, if they don't achieve quality, I don't call them engineers, despite they have degrees. If you cannot do what you are sworn in that you are an engineer, the certificate itself forces you to think about that. Even if you have diploma, you have responsibility. Forget about higher education or degrees and post-graduations. If you are only inclined to books, not to practice, this means you are not a practical person. You are only a certified person, nothing else. But I think, and I'm sure, it's job of engineers, and engineers can handle quality successfully. Because quality, they define. Everything they define in specifications and contract documents. Who defines? No other person. Only they define because they know what they have to do. And I that way say, engineers are responsible. They are not enveloped. They are not enveloped. They are not birds. They are minds. They are forces of technical knowledge. Therefore, they have to do job. And if you think, no, I just move with what my client says or the owner says, I have to satisfy that owner. No, you have to satisfy works. Why you say we require to establish you permanently in engineering profession? But engineering profession itself got you in. That's why we name it engineering profession, which means it is advanced stage. You cannot say profession doesn't know it. But it is not established, that's only I can say. Profession knows everything, profession has every input, but we say we require to establish that, work on that. And it doesn't mean engineering, it's every walk of life, quality has a role. We must understand that point. We can't stay without that. And that's also a point of concern, point of importance that we have to understand, we have to take care of that, and that is very important point, which I say, again I say have active quality performing applications We must have active quality performing applications, and quality as such is sufficiently, because not only technical work but also safety work, which is para engineering, you can say it's not exactly direct engineering, it is protective engineering, it is loss preventive engineering, and it is, you can say, a cooperative engineering, a support engineering, without which practical works cannot move. It's a kind of directive engineering, it's a kind of intermingling engineering that helps people. So safety, health and environment are very important for every engineering branch, for all lives in engineering as well as otherwise, I say, and that is very, very important one. Sometimes we speak only, but speaking sometimes is I got it, I learnt it. Yes, you learnt it, but did you learn really? My point is that attending a class doesn't mean you learned it. Did you learn it really? That's my point. You cannot simply say, I learned it. You have to prove it. And how to prove it? That is the point. How to prove it. Arguments will never end. That's also true. We have to stop at some point of concern, some point of understanding, some point of achievement. Achievement means achievement of process, achievement of performance. I'm not saying you get me results. No, results are different. Results will come how do you perform. Results cannot come otherwise. It comes on basis of performance. So performance sequences, performance continuation, performance shall give me results, and that we understand. I say quality engineering and coordination engineering should be my approach. How? When I define or I speak, say don't define, not defining what is quality engineering and coordination engineering, these are not separate branches actually. These are actually available everywhere, in part of engineering, in every branch, in part of non-engineering, everywhere. You can say quality and coordination are available, and if are not available, we have to procure them there. That is what is job of engineering. Sometimes engineering is professional definition, sometimes it is just a definition. I am talking of professional definition. I am talking of real definition. Quality, in fact, cannot be isolated. Yes, it can be abused, I can say. It can be abused in part or in full. Because it's not independent, no activity is independent. Every activity has many sub-activities. Every activity has some issues and we have to consider them. But I'm not considering activities now. I'm just thinking of how to do. For that I can say in engineering we have so many steps to move, so many stairs and ladders we have to move, so many bridges and rivers we have to cross to reach somewhere. And that process is very, very long. But that cannot be defeated, that cannot be left behind. If we defeat that, we defeat ourselves. Works design, working designs, manufacturing, construction procedures, these are all must. We cannot do without that. Design is everywhere. It is done everywhere. Maybe formally we don't understand that. We have to do everywhere. Construction we have to do everywhere. Even in student life we say, construct this drawing or whatever we say. So we have to do it. We have to assess everything, every consideration. I don't want to stick to one piece of paper. I just want to explain my mind, my views on this. How to work, how not to work, how to do this. And we have to also understand, how to fix quality in our country. It's not very specific, I'm talking about my country. It's for whole world, because I also consider world my country. It's not Bharat India alone, because Bharat India exists only if world exists. If world doesn't exist, no Bharat, no England, no UK, nothing, only destruction. We have to think of that. We have to fix quality in universal way. It's not that I talk of my country, but I just name for purpose of reference. A state of quality is not becoming in our country at the moment. It was somewhere, but now quality meaning has gone out like all other meaning. We are more interested to our decorations, we are more interested to our showpiece, we are not interested to integrity and to a structural requirement of life. I am saying a structural requirement of life. And that is result of people don't even fit themselves, so they don't keep fit. That's also another point you can say from safety, health and environment. People don't keep fit, and for which you can say this bad state can lead to diseases, ailments, you can say. I'm not mixing up issue, but quality must have certain health. Standard of health of work indicates quality. If my system is healthy, my actions are healthy, my thoughts are healthy, and my, you can say, designs are healthy, my works are done healthy way, then I can say it's quality. Maybe there's variation in percentages of the acceptance, but if there's compromise, there can be a tolerance in compromise, so a limit compromise also. If I don't accept that limit, I cannot say that. Can say works quality cannot be compromised, it should not be and must not be. Why compromise? My question is why? What's the reason of, am I going to save money? Am I going to do better quality if I compromise? Maybe there's some error in quality, but I think it's right. I think there's some error, it should be corrected. Okay, there's a compromise, or I can bend it, or I can amend it or modify it. So we have to do this way. Compromise means in required circumstances and something which is not acceptable, or where even my quality system fails. That my quality system fails in compliance and formality and excuse. Say quality system may fail, but quality must perform. Well, how do you say that? How there's a proportional relation here? If quality must perform and I say quality system may fail, how can I deliver it? I should say, don't worry about that. Don't worry about system, worry about product quality. It's as a fictitious, I think, just to think of system moves and quality of product is not achieved. How can you say this is acceptable? This means there is something somewhere which doesn't work, and that is, I think, either design is wrong, or specifications are not applicable, or there is a purpose, there is a person, there is a performer who doesn't know how to do. This means an individual, involved people, they are not well trained, or they don't understand what's the responsibility or what's the level of seriousness one should have. That's what we have to analyze and think of. It's very important point, very, very important points we're talking of. But I see, my question is, are we getting quality? We are not getting with this general answer, and my answer is that I don't accept that we are getting quality. What should we do? Then we say we have to overhaul our requirement or systems, and that can be done, as I said. I tried to communicate to people through my first book. In 1990, too young, of course, I reflected. And engineering, I have seen engineering, particularly civil engineering, people are not interested in practical work, they are interested in field work. They don't care about product, and they are more interested in designs. Of course, design is also very high. Actually, it's a requirement, and they think designs is life now. Every engineer, civil, wants to become structural engineer, wants to become this engineer. They are just not sit in our office and imagine everything and do it, because actually civil engineering lies in sun. Civil engineering is born in sun, it's born in air, it's born on road, it's born in desert, it's born in forest. Civil engineering is that branch of engineering which is very raw. You cannot do civil engineering to develop city. You cannot do civil engineering somewhere where all facilities are available. Can't do the civil engineering. That's why name itself you have to create. It's a creation engineering. Civil engineering means a creation engineering. Means an engineering that changes forests. It converts forests to cities. It converts the deserts to cities. It converts sea to some other form by refilling, by reclaiming. Your example can take is Doha Airport, new one. By reclamation of land, sea got it. It's very difficult, in fact. So we have to go to root of life if you want to understand what is civil engineering. You can think of civil engineering when you are in desert. You are in a forest, in a wood. You are in very raw hill area where no development has been done. You can think of civil engineering because you have to take its support. You have to convert. Just learning is not enough. My college degree is not enough. My university degree is not enough. What I learn that's important. My formula cannot be used if I don't work. And that formula has many parameters, variables, inputs, and we have to understand them. It may be a derived formula or it may be empirical formula. Formula is a formula. You cannot change that until you prove it or you observe it that way. If I cannot derive a formula, this means there is no procedure for that. If I say, no, this is empirical, arbitrary formula, I use it based on my experience, there is no justification of that except that you experience that. That relates to experience, not scientific logic. And I say, no, you can derive it. There is a procedure for this. And that procedure is considered into this numerical form. And this numerical form has certain variables and certain constants, and certain this and that, you can say, certain conditions, and you can say this is a formula, right? Okay, fine. That formula can be justified, and we have to accept that. Because what is the answer it gives, that's the actual one. So I say we have to understand every product, what product is required for, what's function, how should it do, all that we have to do. So in that case, what I say, what is human being? What's a professional? What's an engineer? Young or old, budding or experiencing or advancing, whosoever, what's the role of that engineer? For me, engineer is a product here because of professional work. Engineer is not something you can say defining on based on trust or based on belief. Engineer is not a belief based. Engineer is a logistic based. It's accounts based. It is, you can say, speaking based means justified based, and engineer means a quality intellectual, I can say. Engineer means a quality intellectual, and intellectual means which person considers logic and sciences and systems behind that, and based on principles, and not just because what I say you have to accept. No authoritarianism works there, no arbitrary arrangement works there, and no dictatorship works in engineering. Its procedure, its design, its art, its requirement, its supposition, assumptions, justification, its science, its engineering, its maths, you can say, all work there. A professional has to know that. And that's value of profession. Profession cannot move otherwise. And that point we must understand very clearly. If you want to stay in engineering, if you want to move in engineering, engineering is not just what I say or you say. Engineering means it's a mandate, it must be cared for. And therefore, I say you cannot just move in engineering without having common sense, scientific sense, logical sense. Every sense is required, practical experience is required, and that's what I say. We should know what we have to do. We have to do analysis for everything, and that's the important part. I'm not saying what I say is right or what I say is correct, but what I say, we should think of many aspects. many aspects in life, and that's what say. Therefore, there are so many issues that are involved in engineering and job of engineering, and those issues must be considered. And I say as duties, I say what are our duties. For example, I included in this book, which I cannot show you at the moment, but I'm just referring to, and that's important one. Here I can say, for example, I'm writing in very raw sense. You can say, I'm just trying to show to you what is written in the book. In pieces only, not actually. I'll show you exactly. Here, I think I will read it from this for you as far as I can do. Here I'm trying to do it from different aspects. It is, let us say, what a mechanical engineer, time clerk, etc., etc. I'm not going to that even, or I say, just a minute, please. Let me. What an office engineer, office manager. Let us say. You see, we first of all, we work on contracts actually, contracts for projects, contracts for whatever. We work on contracts, construction contracts, and EPC contracts, etc. We work on them. Now we have to be very clear in that aspect what we do, and that's very important one. Now let us say that what. In fact, equivalence I'm talking. I'm not talking what there's, let us say, contractor. What is a contractor? We should understand that fact also. What is a contractor? We say contractor is a term, it's a profession actually. It's not simply a term. I can say it's a profession. What is a contract? Actually, I took a lot of time in this long back, and first of all, we have to understand. What we have to understand is this very preliminary book I started with, based on my experience, and it includes in this certain positions, which positions cannot be encountered. We have to understand activities, we have to understand everything. Only then we can move further, and that is where analysis is done, and that is where we can say we have to do something important for that. Now, I am trying to show one, first of all, certain responsibilities, and that is what I can say a person on works has to do, and that is really very important aspect, and that is called coordination work. We can say here coordination work. Let me say what I'm talking is it is like I say one project exists, and we have to work on that project of construction. Let us say project of construction. What is essence of that? First we have to understand that. What is essence of that project? Just for people to know, though everybody knows what is contracting, I don't think it's very specific. Everybody knows what is contracting, and there's nothing new in that, but just knowing in essence is important. We can say, okay, this is contract job. We say, okay, it is contract job, but do we know realities of that? What is that contract job? Now, simple, I'm talking, very simple contract, construction contract. I'm not going immediately. I'm just starting with construction contract. Let us assume work has been designed, award has been given. There are certain people in this talk, certain titles. One is honor, means whose project it is, who spends money on that. That's called honor. You may also call promoter. You may also call promoter or seller, means who constructs something and sells to people. It's called honor, and it can be everywhere, all over the world. It can be government, it can be private body, or it can be a person. Let us say a party, official party, and this person does not know how to do or he knows, but he wants support. And this person has support of designing and support of every aspect of that project, because that is technical engineering project, and that person hires some engineer, some designer for that work. And I can say that's one person. Another one is based on combined approach of honor and that engineer or whosoever, engineer or architect or whatever you can say, it doesn't matter. Combination of both, efforts of both also lead to a state when that person who can construct that is also elected, is also approved or selected or whatever, and we call that person. So there is a triangle, you can say. In this triangle, it's a construction triangle, just like this is a fire triangle, there's a management triangle. I can say it's a construction triangle. It's not given in any book, so don't be concerned about that. Just an explanatory mode it is. I say there's an honor at one corner of triangle, there's engineer on another corner of triangle, and there is a third corner which is occupied by contractor. And these three, let us say, have been approved in principle on its own in perpetuality, and that project is started, construction or starts, let us say that. Now every design drawing is available, every specification is available, let's assume that. And we say, now what are roles of these people? That is the part here we have to just discuss in some details as well as in some principle philosophies. Now what do you think about this? Now there's a triangle, okay, that's just for reference, I'm telling, just to understand. We say honor, we say engineer, and we say contractor. And these three are overruled by one, and who is user. User or real client, who doesn't stand at this moment here, but does stay somewhere, we do not know. Now, why we talk of this? Actually, whatever work they do shall be used by someone, and that someone is unknown. No problem at this stage. Here, representative of that someone is honor. Maybe representative or honor itself is honor. Responsibility is owning here, it's not property. This honor which I am referring to, it's a kind of responsibility. Engineer I am talking to you is a kind of engineering responsibility and controls responsibility, and contract I am talking to you is construction responsibility. And particularly in civil construction, in civil engineering world, which is dominant here, it's very difficult to describe and to pinpoint because of having widest status of engineering coverage in world is civil. And that's title itself in this talk says quality projects works. I'm trying to explain quality projects works, which includes coordination engineering, communication, and many other contracts, SI written contracts, claims, methods, etc., etc., etc. Now, what I say, roles of these, what are roles of honors? What are roles of engineers? And what are roles of contractor? Here, who is dominant? Okay, employer shall provide money, finances, and express its desire for this project to an engineer who would return with designs and all details in whatever form, in employment status or in consultancy status or in contract status. And these two persons, these two parties on one management contract or design contract shall select someone through tenders, one contractor who shall own responsibility of construction of that project. So this is a relation. These are basic relation. And there may be more, like third parties is a modern term, modern way. Previously there was no such. So that's also a part of this triangle. You may say here somewhere within this triangle itself. You cannot say the four sides now. No, it's only three sides, and all others shall fit in that. Now here we are talking of construction, which is very important part in this case. And we have to understand first construction, and now keep silence with honor, because job of honor is to declare who is contractor and to commit it shall pay to contractor for works done, whatever works done. And here that is responsibility of honor to arrange finances and to do whatever is practically feasible to help contractor wherever contractor seeks its help to do this job of construction. And engineer is a role in entirety. To an extent, engineering designs, engineering roles, engineering contracting documents, or whatever else are concerned. In nutshell, I can say that responsibility is owned by engineer. You can say complete documentation, complete supervision likewise. And then contractor means contractor has to carry out works according to instructions and documentations given by engineer through owner. Engineer and owner are integrated here. Engineer and contractor are integrated here. We have to keep this in mind, that contractor has to do whatever is required by designs, whatever is required by documents, that contractor has to do. The role of contractor is here construction, and that point we have to be clear. That's what I'm trying to stress. And it's also true the contractor is not a person here, it's an organization. Of course, the responsibility lies with someone. But now in working sense, in understanding sense, we say, okay, it's an entity, legal entity that has to take care of construction, and that point must be very clear. Now, why I'm saying this, just to let you understand what do I mean. Basics we have to understand first, and I consider this triangle at where owner, engineer, and contractor stays together at corners without cutting them. That is considered a unit of understanding, unit of construction, you can say. It's a unit of construction. It applies not only to construction of civil, it applies to all other activities that shall be worked upon, that will be carried out this project or this construction. And that point first be clear to everybody. It's a like fire triangle, we say. Here is heat, here is fuel, and here is oxygen. And we can do heat without any problem. And that's where we say that is a fire triangle, and it is a working triangle, it's construction triangle, and it's a real triangle to produce something, and that must be a point of understanding and point of, we say, how to comprehend something, and that comprehension is requirement. That comprehension is something we have to be clear about. And that's why I try to explain, I try to represent myself to you in construction. Now 14 degrees, it is little down than 15 degrees. Humidity is 75%, 52% ideal humidity, and therefore I'm feeling little cold. No issue, 14 degrees, it may come down to 12 or 10, so no. So, and because I'm feeling little cold, even then I continue. So I say, in this case, as I said, in this case, let us assume that way. And it's assumption, and it's very important assumption, and we have to understand. For example, I'm going to talk of something that these files also say. For example, this is a school building. It's same thing I'm talking to you. It may be another project, let us say another building. We may talk about that. So it applies to this as well. I'm talking to this plant's life. Also, with different terminologies and different responsibilities, applies to this as well. This one, and also to others. Likewise, I'm saying what we say is right or not right. That's another point. And I'm just trying to tell you what I mean. How can I relate to that one? And that's the most important point. And let's consider how I'm saying. Now, when you say construction goes on, and there should be contractor on site, and practically saying only contracting company stays on site, not contractor in person, because contractor in person may not be professional, but according to law, according to contractual requirements, that contractor appoints and authorizes someone on site to work on behalf of contracting company, and because that's also a requirement of documents of contract agreement, there should be some person on site to represent contractor, and that person can be called representative, contractor's representative, or contractor's agent, or we may say whatever else, generally called site agent or contractor's agent, contractor site agent, or whatever, with different powers. That's different, we'll discuss. Well, now we discuss the roles of this person, how this person should do. Usually call this person agent, contractor's agent, and they, in similar way, there is another person on engineer's behalf who work. On engineer's behalf, that person works, and that person is called representative engineer, or resident engineer, or engineer's representative. So here is contractor's representative or contractor's agent, there's engineer's representative, and also these two have to work together on behalf of different parties, and these parties are not contractual parties but related parties. One is engineer and one is contractor. Engineer has a relational contract, you can say legal contract between that with owner. Same way here, say, as a contractor who has a legal contract, legal relationship to owner. So there are two categories of contracts. One is contract between engineer and owner, that is supervision contract or management contract or whatever you can say. If designs also included, also you can say, and as you can say on other contract that exists between owner and contractor, that is construction contract. And we are coming here to that role. I'm going to talk about site representative, means contractor's representative. It may also in relation or in alliance be linked to engineers or engineers representative, or engineers, you can say residents or resident engineer, whatever terminology we use here, it doesn't make any difference. So we have to now contemplate on this, what is being thought of, and that's very important. So here I say, I try to define what is site person. Now how we can move further, I say, it's very important. Here you can say, so there is a hierarchy, and that hierarchy says what is agent. I say agent, contractor's chief executive, contractor's executive or chief executive, make all, it doesn't matter. I wrote in this, contractor's chief executive on job site is designated agent or site agent or contractor's representative or site engineer or site manager, you can say rather, site organizer, you can say, for that project. This agent shall be responsible for job in an overall manner, answerable or responsive to contractor, to resident engineer, oblique engineer, and consultants who are also part of engineers, or third party if we include, though it's not written in that, I did not write in 92. So groups and to engineer also if required. This person has to dispose of, I am saying person, I am not he or she. This person has to dispose of a group of duties, of complicated nature, you can say. This duty this person has to deliver, and that's point you are concerned with. Duties, nature of duties, we have to define. So this person has to do certain duties to dispose of work. These duties are based on contracts and technologies, technical requirements. Now let us say this is a building project. On such project, this agent must be technically competent, administratively sound, or you can say administratively enforceable, and of course dynamic. Now dynamic, energetic, and must possess many other secret angles and eyes, and be bound to be financially responsible in business as well if its organization so demands. Some contractors do not want contracts managers, wherein situation where in that case that part of responsibility must go or shall also be shared by or included within job descriptions of agent's duties. Agent acts as a superintendent or superintending in charge of that job or engineer of that job as far as technicalities or technology and coordinations are concerned, which have been explained before also, and we know that. And of course, major or minute duties whatsoever that we understand. That also means that only holding merely an engineering degree or whatever other academic qualification of whatever level may not be sufficient, but a specialist tutorial qualification. When I say tutorial, this means practiced. Tutorial qualification as experience. A tutorial is your experience on contracts of buildings to successfully match jobs requirements. Since this manager of site or engineer of site duties are listed, few only, not all. These have no restriction at all, but just a list is given to understand what do we mean that. General meeting, special and instant meetings, site memorandum, or we call site memos, site instructions, engineer's instructions, valuations for completed works, subcontractors' valuations, reflected ceiling plans, as-built record drawings, requests for inspections, and of course test reports, concrete pour records, material test records, drawings, status schedules, complete coordinations and liaison related to allied services, departments, local bodies, and there shall be many more on top of this. These are just indicative, not particular. There may be many more, and we will check in. Is days I written? You can say in 90, long back, 92 I remember. This was written long back. So at that time, whatever was not available should also be included here. There's no problem for that. But principle remains same. That point we have to understand. Now what it says in next line, internal dealing with contractors organization, internal dealings with contractors on organization, and that is material requirements procurement, coordinations with garage means where repairs are done or where some warehousing can be done, stores and workshops, daily reporting to your office. I'm not saying head office, but I'm just saying to your office, for obtaining various records, pending submissions, approvals and coordinations. Just think of, I'm speaking this from my book. This was published in 96, and this preparation time from 92 to 96. So you can see in those days what facilities were available, and you can just imagine. Coordination with main quantity surveyor, responsible for job, or in case same is not based on site for medium-sized jobs. Coordination with offices, responsible people and other staff. Coordinations with contracts head or manager responsible for contract, or you can say bids, rather you say bids manager. Solving miscellaneous workers' problems, whatever problems they also come in role of that person. Coordination with other engineering section of organization or company to take or give whatever machine or material involved in job or workforce adjustments. So this is also a kind of coordination. So I'm just trying to part with you important only, not everything, and that's why I'm referring it point by point. I think I missed some pages, please. Yes, it is a site. Sorry, one page was over. So here it is. Then it's a dealing at site, how to deal at site. In ordinary way, now there may be different systems, but remember I'm trying to relate it to past, and that's why I says the dealings at site. Daily program, daily supervision, daily materials, orders, solving instant problems, solving problems with consultants or residents, just same here, and pursuing matters to solutions, solving staff related disputes and making necessary orders or taking necessary decisions in interest of job. Workers' bills for wages and overtimes as well as leave sanctions. Workers working on contract valuations to be kept moving. You can say working on contract valuations to be kept moving and preparation of reinforcement bending schedule, particularly when it's RCC, proposing alternatives to resident engineer for discussions and approvals, technical study of job and instructions to site engineer when required, and daily meetings and general liaison as required. And also you can include in this requirements of structural steel related activities, that you can say handling other materials as well. Now this is only brief. Now I'm going to talk of some coordination specific issues, and that's elaborations of coordinations as pointed earlier, and that's architectural structure, let us say coordination, and this in itself imports very significance for its work. Tender contract drawings, we can say, we call it tender drawings or contract drawings, but there is a requirement of coordination between architectural and structural, and it says that tender contract drawings comprise architectural, structural, building rights services, civil works and miscellaneous works. Architectural details should be related to structural details, and in case of discrepancy being discovered, that should be informed to you can say resident engineer or related structural and architectural engineers, and remedial engineers details obtained, or you can say solutions obtained. Structural details as included as engineers details cannot be followed blindly, since these drawings are used on architectural requirements and details on engineer's design, having brought that in notice of resident engineer. It's up to the resident engineer whether or not alteration is to that in notice of alteration that we made in engineer's details, but a site memorandum should be requested by agent to confirm instructions to protect contractor's skin. The skin means technical liability and all other liabilities. Now, in this case, there can be no claims raised due to you can say aberrations, as same should have been examined before closing bid. In case of lump sum, I am talking lump sum fixed price. General practice adopted is that alternations, adjustments are done to structures and recorded as red lines and then add build times. Then we can say it's been noted that this can be done in one go on all parts of project, since it's not practically possible to overload work on site as well as because of low staff strength on site. Tendency of every contractor remains to maintain minimum level of staff on site to make economy, but this practice of comparing drawings should be carried out continuously and particularly by site engineers or project coordinators of contractor who are responsible fully technically for part of project site assigned to agent. Moment site engineer discovers whatever discrepancy, immediately one has to bring that to notice of site worker, site agent, site of authority, you can say, contractor's authority. Moment site engineer discovers, moment, just a minute, I have just and recorded red line as well based on red lines, and as though that this can be done in one go. Okay, this also tendency of every contractor remains to maintain a minimum level of staff on site to make economy, but this practice of comparing drawings should be carried out continuously, particularly by site engineers or project coordinators of contractor who are responsible fully technically for part of project site assigned to it. Moment site engineer discovers whatever discrepancy, it should immediately be has to be brought to notice of site agent or site coordinator, who must get discrepancies remedied by resident engineer or by specialists. As engineers, site engineer may directly contact resident engineers, specialist engineer, and let decision taken on finalization or finalization reached communicated and reached be communicated. What reached could be communicated to agent or coordinator later, so that site head is kept informed. This is very little actually, just trying to inform you, share with you. Now to a new structure, this coordination may not be that difficult, but complexities arise when a structure is existing, it exists, and alterations, additions are to be carried out. For example, I'm giving, for example, an existing shed made of structural steel framework and old walls of cladding and roofed with old sheets. Roofed with old sheets is to be dismantled partly, altered, and extensions to be carried out in existing as a new structure in both directions. New design incorporates new structural steel framework of different sections in portion to be extended, and alterations in existing framework. A RCC slab be added between floor level and cave eaves level to act as balcony to some gymnasium, whatever it is. Existing old walls shall be converted to a sheet cladded wall. This is a case where an existing shed is to be converted to modern complex or sports, whatever. It's based on my experience that I'm trying to give you specifically. Don't take it otherwise. It's just an attempt to let you understand about what I experienced, and that's really very important point. From every way, you can say we have to understand these facts. And also I say, now says main contractor, or you can say contractor, in fact, main contractor decides to award this structural steel work involved and wall sheet claddings involved to two parties, both in different contracts manager or in charge of contracts of whosoever presumes that both contractors, supplier, or vendors, these vendors shall coordinate efficiently, that is presumed. Contract, subcontract, or whatever it is, further provides now this contract further provides what it says. Oh my God, it's going to jump in, please. Now this contract further provides what it says that we see because this typing is very, this contract further provides a clause that I'm talking of subcontract. The structural steel subcontract shall supply material while erection shall be carried out by main contractor itself. No problem. A sheet cladding subcontractor shall supply as well as erect finished product supplied self. On demand by structural steel subcontractor, site agent communicates all technical information to it. Sheeting cladder subcontractor measures all details from site personally. Drawings of structural steel are submitted for engineer's approval, who in turn comments on submitted working drawings. That approval is made or done subject to coordinations with cladding work. Two subcontractors are not found very cooperative practically. Cladding person submits drawings and there is a lot confusion, but consultants and resident engineer approve them, commenting that approval is granted subject to coordination. Now, what we can expect? What shall be fate of site during execution? During progress, many problems arise. Alterations and adjustments are done. This kind of job particularly requires very close coordination to avoid whatever loss due to miscoordinations which shall contribute to time wastage only. Just an example I am giving. I am not going to solve it. There's another one, and that is structural, mechanical, or engineering coordination. We have to be very specific on such talks because these impact our jobs, and these are just for purpose of reference I am trying to give, and it's really very important one to understand what we talk of and and it's in its own way very important subject, though not formal subjects but real subject. We say in structural mechanical engineering, engineering also is used sometimes in place of mechanical because it involves so many engineering technologies and this is called designs in itself. When we say mechanical works means these are not finally given by consultants but working drawing and shop drawings are used for this. So more than 50%, 70% work on technical it is done through shop drawings, and that's why we can say mechanical is also considered engineering because of machines, because of HVAC ducts, because of plumbing design, because of water supply design, and also sometimes structural steel design is virtually considered. Of course, we here consider civil engineering also, but in international scenario, it's considered mechanical because of a steel material, which is dominant in structural steel. Civil is not dominated there. You can say then engineering works involve elements of centralized air conditioning system, or we can say HVAC, comprising of supply and return air ducts, volume control dampers, attenuators, fire dampers, and various other fittings to pass through either structural walls or webs of structural frame beams coming in duct routes or ducts penetrating beams. It has been made clear that contract drawings or tender drawings issued for services should be converted into working drawings from being schematic drawings. Previously these were designated schemes, schematic designs. Now we have to work for working designs. And also in contracts, a clause is included. A clause is generally included that for complete air conditioning system, contractor shall remain fully responsible for design, installation, and commissioning, and also maintenance to first class standards, limited maintenance, not whole life, for first class functioning. Therefore, complete responsibility for its functioning goes to scope of work of contractor, who shall be supposed to design, install, coordinate, and commission, or you can say design, coordinate, and install, whatever you can say. Therefore, while designing size of ducts, sections of ducts, you can say, air conditioning contractor must request this agent or main contractor. Says therefore, while designing size of ducts, a conditioning contractor must request agent or main contractor to provide complete information of all structural beams, walls, and all other details one thinks necessary for purpose of coordination, may be ceiling height, room height, level of beam, soffits, etc. Just a minute, bit of spoke on switch or battery. It's not 35% only. I'll forget otherwise. Alright, so we have to move onwards like this here. let's continuously move it. Why saying this little paragraph? Now we come on to the next one. It says, what is say? I'm talking. It's still in engineering. It's still in mechanical. I'm talking. It says. Now, how to proceed further in structural mechanical engineering coordination, as we discussed in one paragraph. Now, next says. Now, must carefully study structural details for fixation for sizes and duct routes, which shall assist in saving of many reroutings, as is often experienced. This is about HVAC. Is agent, of course, and HVAC engineering I'm talking, or you can say contractor, must carefully study structural details for fixation or for fixing sizes and ducts routes, whichever ducts has to travel, assist in saving of many reroutings, as is often experienced or conducted. Simultaneously shall look into technical aspects of disciplines, for example, velocity, or can say parameters, I should say, which include velocity of cool air consideration to be maintained is velocity of cool air to be maintained within limits that has to be considered. And you say we have to remember no structural engineer can permit, no structural engineer shall permit passes of ducts, air ducts, cooled air ducts, conditioned air ducts through structural beams of RCC, particularly where large shear forces and bending moments are resisted by beams. In case of air conditioning contractor, inevitably requires designed size of duct, and structure is not built up at that time. Structural engineer at his technical will, in consultation with resident engineer and engineer, may alter size of beam to accommodate beam in isolation with duct space. Provision. There shall remain no choice once structure is built. Location of heavy machines such as chillers shall be carried out, selected in such a manner that loads are uniformly distributed on beams designed for purpose. It's only some part. There may be many more for HVAC. There may be, you can say, clashes between two ducts, which is very often. Clashes in what way? I can say not exactly sectional clashes, otherwise you can say crossover. Is not being regarded. Only time shall tell. I don't know. Let us, I think, signals. Let's keep it down and do it again and see how it's done. And that's of course, sometimes it's a problem. It's always a problem. Okay, signals are still down. Video 0, audio 0. So I'm just holding for a couple of seconds. Just to say, that's why I'm saying crossover. Means there's one way just nearest to ceiling or slabs of it, supply duct, and otherwise there's another duct coming from somewhere for purpose of return and crosses below supply, even though supply again crossover of duct over duct. It's a question mark. It's orthogonal crossing, not parallel crossing, which can impact on ceiling height. It can also impact on roots of other surfaces, other ducts, other services like electrical requirements, where trunking goes on around, or there may be plumbing services. There could be chilled water pipe itself, cool water pipe itself, or there may be whatever else we can say clashes emerge, and that we have to take care of. Software. We are talking of something that cannot be even sometimes noted by BIM, because we have working drawings and we have shop drawings, and BIM may not have at that time. And BIM may not produce even that, because without technical information availability. That's why we can say I keep that coordination at complete design level is separate. It's nothing to do with working qualification, working work, on site. So it's very important point I have to think of. That's what we are saying, that coordination, as we say in this file, very important one, coordination engineering, and that file is here itself. I'm trying to explain again and again. I remind again and again. Now we go to other one, and it's very, very simple. I'm just trying to tell you. And I still remember in one project, of course, this project, I think it is, I can show you that project. It's not a big issue. We can show you that project here. I'm talking of nothing secret in that. I think it's a hospital project. Don't mind it, I'm moving just this for showing you the project. It takes some time, not this one. I think it's plate 9. I still remember it's plate 9. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's a hospital project. I was here in 2010, I am sure. Yes, and now talking of service yard in the for various services, and not only for AC, and AC chilled water pumps, many big pumps, chilled water pumps, to be mounted on floor. These pumps were to be positioned. Of course, there is some other services, and we could not, when I walked here and there and say, what's table electromechanically, or what's the problem? And of course, they said, no, there's no electromechanical problem. These are compatible. And of course, approved too. We had to provide foundations to them. And what status of foundation is not clear. It's not approved. Okay, I tried to get into details of that. There's nothing as such, and though he was careful about that, he was interested. There are many pumps, and if you can't keep them for long, this won't help us. It's not after coordination of these plans. Everybody talks a lot. Oh, yes, indeed, I will do this and I will do that. And for that purpose, I ask them in meeting, can someone coordinate? I did myself all this. I checked measurements and size, did everything, and tried to work out a working layout or working drawing for this one project. And after long studies and showing and discussing with electrical, mechanical people, I cannot say. Measurements were made, all things made, many checks were done. I discussed with them. We got more information from pump people because information was not available. Got more information for electrical compatibility from subcontractor and it was later on checked. I designed pads for that pumps officially myself. In say maybe many months, and nobody cared for. Unfortunately, I'm just giving an example. At what level people can get careless? Careless. That's really you cannot say it's wonderful. I would not say, but it suggested that coordination activity should be taken seriously. Otherwise, we suffer a lot. It was just one example. There were so many examples on this project. So many examples because on this project, I was 75th movement, 75th change in 5 years. So you can understand when 75 responsible engineers have transferred their hands, inspire their hands on project. What shall be sort of that? There's no consistency, no stability on such designers. That's because That point we have to understand very clearly. Coordination is so important. We cannot avoid it. Even if we like, we cannot avoid it. So we cannot forget it. Also, I can say I can give you electrical mechanical engineering coordination here, just like we are going now. Electrical mechanical engineering coordination is also very important part. It is unlimited, of course, but let us say briefly what is this. Now, this part of coordination is remains in fact a cumbersome process, very cumbersome process, and particularly when these disciplines remain in hands of different persons, different contractors or subcontractors. Since contract drawings require be converted into working drawings, which be drawn on basis of details of required equipment. Installed are available. You can say, in fact, this part of coordination remains in fact in cumbersome process, and particularly these disciplines are in hands of different contributors or contractors. And since contract drawing requires to be converted into working drawings which be drawn on basis of details of equipments to be installed, are available. Most of items may be imported, and economical decisions to finalize purchase order shall take a long time. Consult conditions of main contract that shop drawings and submitted in a period of 60 days, or whatever other prescription remain of mere description. If parties involved are not ready from very moment of tendering, and result be that these drawings are not completely approved, even after a couple of months of jobs start helping in delaying jobs. Always there shall be a period of pool of submission drawings before every monthly meeting by contractor to protect them from minimizing of unsubmitted drawings, which is not good professional practice. You have to understand this. Actually, coordinations, and it's not just easy. This is another point I'm trying to show about these tanks. You can see LNG tanks. Also a different world of engineering, because this is different type of tank, not ordinary tank. These are actually annular tanks, two annular tanks. Annular means where there is a space in between one tank and another one. Just for information, it's a cryogenic material constructed tank. Cryogenic, it's cryogenic. Temperature is much below minus. But problem is, this is something very powerful. It's LNG tank, and there must be complete, durability requirement on this. How designs lead to durable construction of these tanks, and it's very, technical work from innovation point of view, from research point of view, from study point of view. And what I'm trying to tell of this point is that, let us say, imagine you have to construct one tank like this, though it's in view looking very small. It's not small, In fact, this is a high duty, heavy duty tank. If you say what I have written here, I'll just speak of that so they can understand well. As written is LNG plant showing 4 number of tanks located wherever. LNG tanks are gigantic in size to contain 85,000 cubic meter of LNG each. We can say, what is then required? Why I'm talking about this, in fact, when it's coordination type, and this is, of course, we have to understand. Coordination doesn't mean only coordination means you have to first understand project and then start helping them. It says because it's something related to offshore, onshore, and offshore. I'm talking on offshore construction, onshore construction. This material we have to extract is from sea. What should people wear about? No, we have to talk of something about this land, this piece where these LNG tanks are going to be installed. There's no direct soil relation in this tank. Yes, that's right. Ground is a very important factor in this. We can say what sort of ground is this, where it is located. Of course, it should be somewhere at sea. That point cannot be overlooked, cannot be condoned, because it's a structure, it's very important structure, and particularly if it's earthquake zone, and additional care requires to be taken. But we take consideration of loads all the time. Let's come this way. We have a ground that is not prepared well, that's not done well, uneven, low lying. Of course, at beaches, it's always low lying and not built up. This means questions of yes, this is, we have to first understand what we have to do, what's requirement, and that is these tanks are a gigantic size, and foundations we have to construct of RCC. Then we have to think of how to prepare the site and what about required bearing capacity for these tanks, which you have to do because we don't want to take any risk of settlement, or you can say we don't want to take any permanent risk. This means we don't want flexible soil, compressible soils. We want some materials which is just compacted once and it doesn't settle further. And that's why we can say, of course, diameter of tank is quite unstable, that's about 65 meters, and considerable wall thickness. And of course, we have in this case, we have enough height, of course, this is more than 45 meter, and it is liquid LNG that has to be stored in this tank, and that's minus 85 degrees temperature Celsius, minus 85. And you can say it's domed at top, it's cupola concrete. And this you can say there's pre-tensioning, post-tensioned cables at serious location. Let's say In this case now, since we have to include soil of this tank, this project, what we have to do, we have to station this project, to site this project. We have to find ways to install this project in safe manner, and it's working in safe manner. And that's I say we cannot depend on every soil. We have to import some soil, and we have to and work on this. And within real file we can see that continuity of design is maintained, continuation of then activities. Now what is actually important here is stationing this tank. You can say load of gas, load of structure, big one, and you have this. So we have to design all this very frequently, very seriously. We have to design structure, we have to design foundations, we have to design soil. Also, we have to do pre-stressing, post-tensioning, and all these are components that we have to do. So how many activities are there? You can see this. First is soil preparation, then we have foundations, and we have casting of RCC cylinder, or you can say these walls, and also work of internal, that is cryogenic tank has to be fabricated inside, and then you can see how you will say enter, and there is some maybe 2 or 3 years and there and there and there. So what actually I am reflecting here is I experienced on this project that it was not ordinary soil that was used in this because of higher bending moment, higher strength of soil, higher strength of SBC was required, and the soil was bearing itself. It was well designed, accepted. It is now very simple. I'm talking very simply and slow because you can understand. This guy is soil natural which was available there, and that is in fact not desert sand, not good soil. So what designer did, inspected there was This is very complicated approach actually. It looks very easy, but it's not easy. It's very difficult. We have to design certain mixes. We have to first reach to that level where tank formation is to be sited. And then we have to make sure what status of soil there is. Don't depend on bore logs. Bore logs can also be misleading, and here's what we have to do. So we have reached that level, you can say formation level, and it's the nature of soil, it doesn't permit such type of tank. We have to design certain intergranular mix. For purpose of soil improvement, we call this increasing bearing capacity of that area, and it should be based on certain granular soils which don't cause any conflict or any abuse on life of that project. Granular material permits it doesn't need long-term based consolidation as compacting material particles are important point. So it was many meters in fact. This tank could not be allowed to be sited on soil, clay soil, but improvements required in the scene. I saw that. And many layers of such material were laid and compacted, about 10 to 12 concrete layers are required for first. We can say this type of work is required. We have to take into our consideration all these points. So I says that soil improvement activity was very important, and so I included in this list of activities soil improvement activity, and that is number 3 point you can see in this list. Soil improvement carrying out using graded granular. I will fill in many millimeters thickness that has to go layer wise, and all precautions that change in the let's see. Once all these layers, each layers was packed and danced, and FTD was obtained in all layers until it came to formation level of this tank. From there onwards, when layers were completed, record surveys were started, level surveys particularly, because there should be no compaction. I'm sorry, there should be no settlement after work of compaction is over. And since granular soil is water permeability, or you can say design requirement was permeability given in index of soil is not clear. So you can say in that case it's very important in this case that one should think of soil improvement and how to do it, and when you do it using ordinary method, and what is machine that's come to take plant loads. And it's an interesting one. We have to check all this take time, and then we have to confirm at end when filling is over that it's our bearing capacity which is more than requirement, and it's suitable for such type of tanks. And we can say that now we'll start thinking of protection of steel, and that can be collected from same standards and levels. It's very complicated construction actually. It's expert construction cannot be done by everybody, and you also require expert engineers on this. For example, we have to keep complete record of various years to, and that requirement is on behalf of contractor. We can show some lines there, some lines for two files, but you can see that of course it's very important project, you can say complicated project because of gas, and to keep it in felt without any settlement, without any considerable, you can say, changes in levels or settlement, you can say ups and downs. We have to keep in mind such projects very important from substations also. Once foundations are made, substation construction, energy generation are that important. Now we have to come to point while talking of this and talking of my own experience on surveys on this project. I was given this task to ROS, that's called Record of Surveys. I will include this also in this. It's 5 meter FU. You have to, you see what you have to think of this. And this can say, let me say, I'm just giving you certain examples here, not something else. You can see this here, that you have got that level of compact and you have known that now it's okay. You have got, say, a ring capacity, and you put on that your blinding material, and you have tested that one, you have tested that one, and you say, come on, let's try to see if there is. So when it goes like this, we have to start surveys of every level, and let's say we depict surveys on different points, say 5 meter intervals or whatever intervals the thing is special. So we have to keep all records in ICE, and records, surveys, in ICE, every level, and not only uniform record but conditional records. Only 1% neighbors. Yeah, 9 years and record. We have to keep these surveys on record. We have to make sure that settlement is avoided, it's not done, and that's really very important part of this. And it's not the record. We have to see these conditions that neighbor surveys should not exceed this much. There should be no difference in this and that neighbors, and 5 meters neighbor is considered in this case or maybe different. And this was kind of important question, how to understand that. Yes, I said. So you can see at every point, at every stage when we reach whatever foundation stage, or you can say raft stage, or you can say walls stage, whatever stage we reach, whatever work we carry out with the construction should be taken care of. have to consider about this talk. We have to walk through this and we have to understand at every point. Well, I think I was about a year on this project and I recorded a lot of surveys again and again every week. Surveys to make sure that settlement doesn't happen. And as long as it continued, if so. Now, this is a very important point. Granular mix when we did it is like permanent contents, permanent performers, and likewise we say something was done. Important point is that you have to be very careful while considering such projects, and that's where I say coordination is very important factor. It cannot be taken for granted. It's 13 degrees now, again down, and that's why I'm feeling cold. The real feeling is 11 degrees. It says 11 degrees now. So we have to be really realistic about this. And this it says wind is it's now 12, wind is 10 kilometers. So wind gust is 12, 20 kilometers per hour. Humidity is 76%. Indoor is 48%. So I'm feeling cold, little cold, and it's 11 degrees. So it's fine. What to do, no way out. We have to be very sure about this. In fact, we have to be very sure about this. And it says, let me go to understand. I'm talking it very seriously that